Homage to the Venerable Monk Liao Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Tsangkhung. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dubdan Darji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deities of Homa today. Namo Skanda Bodhisattva and the Venerable Sangharama. Simu Danzhen Gacho. All Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma instructors, Dharma assistants, temple directors, disciples present here and over the internet, and our participating VIPs today are His Excellency Ambassador Daniel Liao, the Taipei representative to Sweden and Norway, Ambassador Daniel Liao and Dharma Sister Judy, Law Advisors to Tripura Foundation, Dharma, the lawyer Liu and Zhou, Accountant to Tripura Foundation, Dharma Sister Teresa and her husband Larry. Indonesia, and the Major General from Indonesia, Major General Sumiharjo Pakpahan. And a businesswoman from Indonesia, Miss Gina Kanana. Producers for the Geni Tiansang Shinten from CTITV Taiwan, Dharma Sister Rebecca Shiyachi, a member of the Tripura School Scholars Group, Professor Yi, and the former secretary of the Lotus Light Charity Society of Taiwan, Dharma Brother Tian, and this wife, Datuk from Malaysia, Dharma Brother Li Hai An, Latin, Dharma Sister Li Ching, and their daughter, Dharma Sister Li Chi, and Latin from Malaysia, Dharma Sister Tse. And a singer from Malaysia, the Little Sweetie, Dharma Sister Li Fei. And the Vice Chair of the Asian Youth Association in Hong Kong, Dharma Brother Chen, and from Hong Kong, the Hong Sen Si Company, Dharma Sister Cheng, and Dr. J.D. Gao and her husband, and Dr. Ryan Zhuang and his father, and the advisors to the Overseas Chinese of the Republic of China, Mr. Mack. Good afternoon, everyone. How do you do? Now it's the ads time. Next Sunday, July 15th
是海洋节，现在叫做龙节。
is called the Dragon Festival in Seattle.
龙节，所以那一
Used to
天
be called Sea Fair.
Chinatown， 所以没有。
So we will go to Chinatown on that
没有
day.
复活法会，下个礼拜天是没有复活法会。
So there will not be any
在
Homa
下个礼拜
ceremony
天
next
7
Sunday.
月22日，
And then the following Sunday, on July
大放
22nd,
化网复
there
活
would
法
be
会。
Mahotara Heruka
大
Homa
放
fire
化网
offering
复活法
ceremony.
会，那么大放化网金刚，是我们
So
生活中
Mahotara Heruka
做这个金刚神非常有力的一尊，
is the
非常很有力量的
extremely
一尊。
powerful Heruka, Vajra protector of Tribhuda school.
他是可以治病的，他是可以治病
And
的。
he can cure illnesses. And the mantra
别扎佐达马哈塞西里哈鲁嘎吽吽嘿。唵别扎佐达马哈塞西里哈鲁嘎吽吽嘿。那么他的这个大王化网金刚的手印
and the mudra for Mahotara Heruka.
他的手印是这样子的。那么他有很多的眼睛，
And he has many eyes and many heads.
他形象也是非常特殊的。
So his appearance is
大方
extremely
化网金刚本身来讲起来，
unique and extraordinary.
大金刚法，
So Mahotara
叫有
Heruka
大金刚法。
is one of the 5 great Heruka practices. In Tantrayana, there are 5 Herukas:
圣乐金刚、
Hevajra, Guyasamaya,
大威德金刚、
Chakrasambhara, Yamantaka,
大放化网金刚，
and
这
Mahotara.
是大金刚法。
These are the 5 great Heruka
大放
Tantra.
大放化网金刚没有用，
And some
就
people
把它
don't
换成
use Mahotara, and instead they use Kala Chakra.
说法不一样，有的讲五大金刚法，
So there's
是
some
大放化
differences
网金
here.
刚，
Some people include Kala
是
Chakra,
这个
but some
加上了十轮金刚，
people include
这两
Mahotara.
尊互换。
These 2 deities are interchangeable.
我所知道的就是这样。
That's based on what I know.
那么还有真佛波业障我们生活中的真佛
And
波业障
to Buddha
里面的
Boye,
资料非常的齐全，
the truth of
Okay,
true Buddha
應用
wisdom has
非常
complete
的
information
有變化，
and very
還有
dynamic
這個有聲書
and beneficial.
電子書，還有有聲
And there are some
歡迎大
audiobooks
家加
not,
入
and also ebooks.
生活波業障的會員。
So I hope that you join TB Boye.
另外，这个世尊的文集，这个
And
黄金的
Grandmaster's books,
其实这个
the
简单讲起
golden
来就是经济。
verses.
那么你弄经济的话，因为大家都很多人都知
If
道
I name it golden verses in
这个经
Chinese
济好像
Jinju,
以前世尊也写
shortened
过
way, everybody know,
所以
and
就变
Grandmaster
成
has
黄
used that
金
title
的
before.
其实
So
还
now I use the title
那
like
么那是里面有一些重要的口诀，请
phrases
大家这个注意
made of gold.
这本书。
Actually, it's the same as golden verses. Please pay attention to this book. There are some golden
那么我们
words
今
in
天
there.
呢，谈到这个韦陀天的韦陀菩萨，
So today
他的咒语是 Om
we are
Wait,
talking
hold hand
about
up.
the
Maha Tendo Soha。
Skanda.
Wait, hold
That's the
hand up.
mantra for Skanda.
那伽蓝天的咒语
And for Sangarama, Sangarama Deva.
伽蓝西地 Hom， 这是伽蓝天的咒语。
That was the mantra for Sangarama Deva.
金刚合掌。
And the
它的
mudra,
形象很好认。
the mudras are the
这边
same,
就是
the Vajra
韦陀
mudra.
天，
And it's very easy to recognize
这边就是
the appearance. That one was Skanda, and to the right is Sangarama.
韦陀菩萨。
Skanda
韦陀菩萨
Bodhisattva. Here to the left.
这个伽蓝天呢，就是我们
And Sangarama
中国的
Deva
那个关圣帝君啊，
is the Guanseng Dijun of
关
China.
圣帝君形象
Has
完全一样。
exactly the same look and
那么
appearance.
在这个佛典里面有记载，
The Holy
这
Emperor
个
Guan.
3000佛忏，未来3000佛。
And in the sutras, it was recorded that in the future 3,000 Buddhas,
第1000佛的上首
the first of the 1,000 Buddhas is the lotus-like Buddha. That's the
未
head.
来第2000的佛，
And
他
then
的上首
the first Buddha of the second 1,000
韦
Buddhas
陀。那么
is
他本身的
Skanda.
成佛以后，就叫
And
罗智佛。
after his
成
Buddhahood,
佛以后叫罗智
he would be referred as
佛。那
Rudita
第
Buddha.
3000呢，成佛
And
的
the
就是
3,000 Buddhas
你们不要查，很简单的，就是弥勒佛。
no need to check, it's very simple. Maitreya
你们
Buddha.
在查了还是一样的。
It's the same if you check.
啊，没有查。那个手就是拿手机的手势。
You know, but you look like you're checking on your cell
这
phone
个你们拿手机拿惯了，我看到你们手好像都是在拿着手机。
because you're always holding your cell phones around. So whenever I see your hands, as if you're holding your cell
所
phones.
以3000佛，
So 3,000 Buddhas.
将来未来有3000佛出
In the
世。
future, there would be 3,000 Buddhas appearing.
第一个是华光佛，
The first
第二个
one
是罗智
is
佛，
lotus-like Buddha. The
第三
second
个
one is Rudita Buddha.
就是
And the
弥勒
third
佛。
one is
弥勒佛。
Maitreya Buddha.
等到弥勒佛下生的时候啊，
By the
这个
time
娑婆世界
Maitreya
差不
Buddha
多的
descend upon
所有人差
samsara,
不多都度光了。
all the human beings are almost gone.
这韦陀菩萨，我们
Have
在
been
这个经
delivered.
典里面有记载啊。
So it was recorded in the sutras about Skanda, which is at the Sakyamuni Buddha's parinirvana. That was the rapid speed
啊，所有的菩
ghost
萨
that
跟这
stole
个
Sakyamuni Buddha's sariras.
眼睁睁的看着他走，
And all
因为
the
他
bodhisattvas
是
and
急脚很
arhats
快，
were
走跑得
just
很快，
dumbfounded
抢来就走。
because the rapid
只有这个韦陀
feet ghost was very fast. He stole and
追
ran.
上去，
Only
就
Skanda
把这个佛陀的
Bodhisattva
这个舍利再抢回来。
followed him
他本身就是
and
有
caught
这
him
个
back
急脚
and
神
retrieved
力
Sakyamuni
急
Buddha's
脚神力
sariras.
原来
So
也是
he
一
had
样
the transcendent power
因为
of
他
swift
我们现在
movement,
我们现
or
在那个
rapid
车子
feet.
都讲马力，对不
The
对？
same with Sangarama. We talk about horsepowers in cars. And in the past, Sangarama rode on a horse. And what was the name?
赤兔马，
It's called the red rabbit
所以
horse
他
that ran
也
very
有他的
fast.
方法，叫做也是一个急脚。
So
这
he
个
has his
伽
way
蓝尊
too.
者也是一个急脚。
So
现在
Sangarama
目前的
is
伽蓝
also
尊
has
者
rapid
是
feet.
寺庙的守护神。
And nowadays, Sangarama is the protector of the
那么
temples.
韦陀尊者也
And
是寺庙的
Skanda
守护神，特别守护
is also the protector of the
大雄宝
temples,
殿。
especially the main halls.
中国的寺庙建筑我以前讲过了。
As I said before, the structures of Chinese temples is as soon as you enter the main gate, that would be the four heavenly kings, Dhritarashtra, Virupaksa, Virudaka, and then Vaisravana, the four heavenly kings, protecting the mountain gate. And then as you enter further, there would be Maitreya Buddha in the form of the monk with the cloth back, the Chinese version, smiling, inviting the guest, welcoming the guest. And then at the back of the Maitreya Buddha, there would be the Venerable Skanda or Skandadeva facing to the main hall. And inside the main hall, there would be the Buddhas of the three times. The Buddha of the past, Dipamkara, and the Buddha of the present, Sakyamuni Buddha, and the future Buddha is Maitreya. So three Buddhas of the three times. And some people have the three jewel Buddhas. At the center, Sakyamuni Buddha, and to his right, there would be Medicine Buddha, and to his left, there would be Amitabha Buddha. And this would be referred as the three jewel Buddhas, or the five Dhyani Buddhas. There would be Vairocana Buddha, Akshobha Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, Ratnasambhava Buddha, Tathagata, and Amoghasiddhi Tathagata. Those were the five Dhyani Buddhas. And typically speaking, in Buddhism, the protectors of the temples are Skanda and Sangarama. And they are Dharma practices regarding these two deities, about the transcendent feet or rapid movement. And one is by writing on his feet. Before sleep, you write a character at the sole of your own feet, and you can go to many places. That belongs to Skanda. I had transmitted it in Hsinchu, Taiwan. And for Sangarama, you have to bind the Jama paper that represented or symbolizes a horse on your feet. So you can ride on a horse at night. I didn't transmit the details or in depth the Buddha Dharma then, but let me tell you, Skanda and Sangarama, the rapid feet transcendent power can go to the past lives. You can check on your past lives. You can enter into your past lives. You would be able to see your past. And you can also see your future if you want to. So they have such power. So you can see your past and your future. You can see the three times of the past, present, and future. It's not just for going somewhere. Say, I want to go to Malaysia. Then on my feet, I would write a character, Ha. And as I travel out of body, in a split of a second, I would arrive in Malaysia. Say, if I want to go to Europe, to Sweden, to see Ambassador Liao, Then
然后你跟
you
佛菩萨
tie
祈
a
祷，
jama
跟
paper
天然尊者
on your
祈祷
feet and you pray
我
to
要
Sangarama,
骑
you
千
pray
马
to
行空，
Skanda, and you say that you
到
want
了
to
瑞
ride
典，
on a divine
我要去看
horse
廖大子在
and
做什么，
traveling across the space to check what Ambassador Liao
那
is
你就可
doing.
以咻，马上的天
Then
马行
shoo,
空就去了。
the flying horse would take you
那
there.
他们都有这种能力。
So they have
我
such
发
power.
觉以前这个飞行上的能力，
You know,
我
in
们
the
在龙
past,
山庄前面不是两个那个北师吗？北师啊，
you know, right at the
那
gate
个
of
北
the
师也很
Rainbow
有能力。
temple, we have
啊
two
那两个你跟他祈祷
stone
说晚上我要去哪里，因为很少
lions.
人跟他求。
And not many people pray to them.
我们
You
里
know,
面还
you
有两
can,
只白狮，
and then inside there are also two white lions.
南狮
So
是
they're
比
the
较温和
northern lions and the southern
北方
lions.
的狮子，
The
南方的狮
lion,
子比较温
the
和。
southern lions
北
are
方的狮
milder,
子是很
and the
凶的，
northern lions are
很少人跟他
more
祈祷，你跟他祈
fierce.
祷，和尚跟他祈祷。
And there are few people pray to the northern lions. If you pray to them, please help.
然后你可以骑上这个北狮，
Then you can ride on the northern lion to go all over the world.
那狮子都有神。
So the lions
我现在我自己
also
家
have
里面
souls
也
and
供了
spirits.
2只狮子，
And in my own house, I also enshrine 2 lions
所以
right
我家里
on my
现在
gate.
很少有鬼来。
That's why
因为那2
not
只狮
many
子会
ghosts
守门，
enter into
有
my
鬼来
house
它马上
nowadays
飞出去，
because those lions
那
are
鬼的脖子就断。
guarding the house. When they see ghosts, they would bite on the ghosts, and their
你
necks
祈
would be
求一下
broken.
这个北狮啊，求求。真的
So if you pray to the
关于
northern
这个飞行的
lions, you
神
can
足通的
try.
事情
They're
很多。
really
以前
so
我
there
妈
are
妈
many stories
她
about
就是
the
观世音菩萨
transcendent power of speed travel.
善财，
And my
善财
mother
良
was Guanxin
上面还有一个太平鸟，
Bodhisattva's
小的观世音
San
菩萨
Cai
里面
Liang Nü
这种
as
这
their
个
attend
观音
his
他
her
那
attendants,
观音他那
and
在台
then
湾
the Kuan Yin Sara, which is the great peace bird holding the chanting
这边
beads.
是善财菩萨，
See
这
Guan
边
Yin at the center, here's San Cai, and here's Liang Nü, and then above there's a bird, which is called the peace
我
bird,
母亲就是
holding the
观世音
chanting
菩萨的
beads
太
of
平
Guan
鸟
Yin
的
Bodhisattva. And my mother was a reincarnation of the bird, the peace bird of Guan Yin Bodhisattva.
有一天呢，
And
有
one
印尼的
day,
同门
there was a
送
fellow
东西
disciple
到
from
送一个
Indonesia
东西到我这个台湾的家，
brought a
以前台
gift
湾的
to my house in
送来的是什
Taiwan,
么啊？
which was the tent recorder in Taiwan in the old times. And what they gave was Garuda.
嘎鲁达的雕像非常的
Indonesians love Garuda,
送来的
many
时候啊
sculptures of Garuda.
我刚好回去，我就给他开光，给嘎鲁达。
So after they brought the gift, I happened to be home, so I consecrated it.
嘎鲁达
And
撒来撒来烘焙，
And this was the mantra for Garuda.
嘎鲁达撒来撒来烘焙，就是嘎鲁达的咒。
Garuda, Chare Chare Hompe.
那帮
The
这个
mantra
嘎
for
鲁达
Garuda.
开了光。
So I
当
consecrated
天
Garuda.
晚上开光的当天晚
So
上，
that evening,
嘎鲁达就找我母亲。
the Garuda looked for my mother.
观世音菩萨的太平鸟飞行飞得很快，
I heard that the peace bird of Guan Yin Bodhisattva flew really
不然我
fast,
们2个来，
but Garuda, Garuda,
哎，这是我妈妈
fly
讲给我
even faster. Okay, let's have a
是
competition.
的
My mother personally told me this
观世
story.
音菩萨的太平鸟一飞起来，那个鸟
Guan Yin Bodhisattva's great peace bird was very small,
差不多手掌大而已。
maybe as big as my palm.
嘎鲁达多大？你知道吗？
But Garuda is
嘎鲁
huge.
达
Do you
很
know
大
how
的
big?
哇，比那个老鹰不知道大
It's
上
even
几百倍、几千倍的那一种
hundreds or thousands of times bigger than an eagle. huge bird. So with the flop of the wings, that the oceans would turn over and the earth would return several times. That's the great peace bird. And Garuda thought that he would win over the peace bird. So by flying, he orbited the earth several times, but the peace bird disappeared as soon as it flew because it was so small. So where did it go? The Garuda couldn't find it. It turned out it perched on Garuda's neck. So it flew as far as Garuda flew. So Garuda admitted that he lost because you flew as fast or as far as I flew. And afterwards, Garuda became the mount of my mother. This was a story from the past. So my mother was flying as the two birds to see who's faster. But when the peace bird started to fly, it disappeared. And Garuda flew really fast, with just a few flops of the wings. He orbited the earth many times already, and it turned out that the peace bird was right on his neck. So that was the story from my mother from the past. And Skandadeva and Sangaramadeva are both protectors. Look at the knife. And for Sangarama, that blade, that's called the blue-green dragon scimitar. And for Skanda, that's called the demon subduing scepter. As soon as you beat it, and even the sages would fall from heavens. And according to the rules in Buddhism, if Skanda Bodhisattva joined his palms together and the demon subduing scepter are horizontal above his arms, it meant you can go to the temple and ask to stay in the temple. Because the scepter was held horizontally on his arms, which means he welcomed everybody to stay at the temple. However, if the scepter is being held this way, vertically, that means that guests are not welcome to stay inside the temple. How many Skanda statues do we have? Master Lien Yin? You big and small. That's why I'm asking how many in total? 3. One here. And they were all like this? All of them touching the ground. None of them are like this. But they're actually one like this too, to welcome everyone. So in this case, the Rainbow Temple is rather stingy. We should rename it to become the stingy. Well, we did not know that if the scepter is held horizontally on the arms, it's to welcome everybody to stay inside the temple. But if the scepter is held horizontally, touching the ground, we will change it. How are you? Are you going to? We'll get a new one, because there are rules like this, really. You know, like in Mahayana Buddhism, they have many rules. Like if you place your chopsticks in a certain way, that means you want more food. Or if you place it in a different way, that means I'm full, no need for more food. Because that when the monks and nuns are eating at the dining hall, there are no sounds made. And then depending on how they place their chopsticks, it means something. Whether it's on top of the bowl or on the table. And then the ladies are walking around checking whether you need more food, rice or dish, without talking. They would know by seeing how you place your bowls and chopsticks, whether you're full or you need more rice or what. So there are rules. The same inside the temple. Like if Skanda Bodhisattva have the scepter horizontal, welcoming everybody to stay, and then if it's held like this, vertically, that means they don't welcome visitors. But this one was made by Changren, right? Because at his place, these two statues were too big for his place. That's why he sent them here. So the Rainbow Temple benefited from it because he couldn't house them in his own place. And we hope that that all of his statues don't fit in his place. Then we have so many of them. Sure, he made many of them. The same one with this one. Mahabala was also from Master Changren. This one was extremely ferocious. All the boundary protection at my home relies on this deity. Very easy to visualize him. 4 arms, Vajra lasso, Vajra pole or staff, and subduing mudra, and then the divine duster. Visualize his forearms, his face, his heads, very dark, black. So at my home, he always protects at my roof. I visualize him filling all my roof. And on the windows and doors, I place a color there when I set boundary protection every night. Because I was the subduer of the ghost. So they always look for the leader, the head, right? So they always try to find me. And I have 2 lions on the side of my gate. And on each of the windows and doors, there are colors. And on the roof, they're all Mahabalas. And underneath my feet are the Vajra foundation, all the cross scepters full of the cross scepters, the fourfold protection. All the windows, the ceiling to ground windows, akalas, Mahabala on the roof, and underneath my feet, all the Vajra scepters, the cross Vajra scepters. I would do it every time. And on my bed, there's Golden Mother. I place Golden Mother on my bed. So every time I do this, I visualize Golden Mother, the crown. Do you know which Golden Mother I visualize? One that you never knew. It's a secret. It's rainbow temples. It's this one in front of me. The blue one. The divine duster is open. And she's holding a golden longevity peach. Do you know? Do you know what she's holding? The golden longevity peach, right? See? And the divine duster, and on her crown, the three birds, Qingruan, Shaoruan, her bird on her crown. So I visualize this way, and I would recite Golden Mother to bless my own bed 3 times with great power. If I do it, my crown will fall. And then I would recite the mantra with one cut with the sword. I would place akala on my door. Then all the glass windows would be akala, and then to the sky. And with great power, Om Mahabalaya, Hom Hom Pe, to bless or to protect the roof. And then visualize the cross scepters underneath my feet, all of them, to set the Vajra foundation. Then I sleep really well at night. When ghosts come, they are chased away very far. The ghost has no use at all for me, and she claimed them to be protectors. I've called on them many times on the Dharma throne. If you dare, come find me. If you dare, come find me. If you don't have the courage, then just go away. Why are you raising and employing ghosts? I have called on you many times. If you come, then you'll die. Right? Yes. There are many benefits if you know how to do protection. And that sword would swish down. The sword of Akala is truly incredible. So Skanda and Sangarama can be protectors too, and can be used as protection boundary as well. And the ghosts can be eaten like snacks. And in the future, you know, Skanda and Sangarama, if there are ghosts coming from XX place, then if there's one ghost, then you eat it. Eat one. If there are two coming, then you eat two. You eat them all. They're here. Now let's continue to talk about Lamdre. There are also the path of practice, the guaranteed realization, the countless sittings, the immeasurable sittings, the judgment of the inner mind, the degree of holding up the realm of the body, the encouragement of the awe of food and drink, and the mind yogic experience on judging the signs of warmth. 1. The path of practice. Practicing diligently on the fundamentals of the chosen path. 2. The guaranteed realization. After the practice of visualization, before dispersing it inside the illusory wheel of the body, observe the yogic experiences that occurred during the practice. Regardless how or what appears, the mind is abiding at the original point without any exertion. 3. The number of non-sittings. The number of non-practice is 3 or 4 times. 4th, the immeasurable sittings. At that moment, not concerned with the measurement of the visualization. 5th, this too depends on number 5, which is the key point of the judgment of the inner mind. Practice when the mind is pleased and not practice when the mind is not pleased. Also, if pleased and not practicing, then there is no benefit. If one is not pleased yet practicing, then it would be like the nature of a horse is running and the nature of water is wet. The affinity and the mind go separate ways, therefore it is not advantageous to practice. So let me explain. What is the path of practice? It's when we perform inner fire practice, you're already very familiar with the key formulas and you follow them diligently, step by step. And second, the guaranteed realization is after visualization. Before dispersing it inside the illusory wheel of the body, observe the yogic experiences that occurred. However, regardless of what appears, the mind is abiding at the original point without any exertion. So when we practice inner fire, you can notice how much light appears. So like Ambassador Lao, can you see light? He can see light. You need to close your eyes and your thoughts is at that place and all of a sudden you would see light. That's a kind of guaranteed realization. But it doesn't matter what you see, your mind is still at the original point. And what is that original point? Inside us, your thoughts are on your mind or on your heart. It is unmoved. Or your mind is in the sky, unmoved. And when your thoughts are unmoved, that's called original point. But when the thoughts are moving, then you're visualizing. And when your thoughts are moving, you can see lights, and you can see the degree of the light. You know, there was Master Qin Hai Wu Sangshi. She taught two methods. One is listening to the inner sound of your body and to see the inner light of your body. And her ways attracted many people. And actually, in Tantrayana, it has included listening to the inner sound and seeing the inner light. When you see them, your mind is unmoved. When you visualize, the mind is moving. You see like red dots, and then you collect them to become a big light. And then this big light becomes an all over red light, and then your whole body is filled with red light. And the light even emitted through the skin pores, and you would be able to see this light emitted by the skin pores. You can see it. This is called the guaranteed realization. And third, the number of non-practice, which is 3 or 4 times. What is it? Most ordained monks and nuns have to practice 4 times a day, 3 or 4 times a day. When you get up at noon, at night, and before bed, or 3, or in the morning when you get up at noon, at dusk, and then at night. That's 4 times a day. And fourth is the immeasurable sittings at the moment, not considered with the measurement of the visualization. We don't need to worry about that. Just concerned that you have to practice 3 or 4 times a day. Why are they called the number of the immeasurable number of sittings? That depends on yourself. So if the mind is pleased or not, so what it means is that when you practice inner fire, there would be bliss generated. When the inner fire is ignited, when it rises, there would be bliss generated. And the bliss is due to the inner fire rubbing against the channels. And this is called the great bliss. And in the human world, there are the small bliss. If they don't practice at all, but they rub, then there would be bliss generated. And that is called small bliss. And to describe it clearly, for man, the bliss is just shoo with the sound, and that's it. Only for a few seconds. And for women, the bliss is slightly longer. Slightly longer for women. For man, it's really fast. And that's the end. And because of this small bliss, people have children. And without bliss, why would you want to do it, to make children? So it's interesting how God created human beings to entice you with little bliss so that you get married and then have wedding nights and to enjoy that small bliss. And the small bliss becomes your great suffering, because now you have children and you have to raise them, and you have to spend lots of money and time and lots of hardships. So you have children because you want this small bliss. But nowadays people know how to control the birth. And between men and women, there are lots of problems created because of this small bliss. But in Tantrayana, we strive for the great bliss. When the inner fire has risen, and when it rubs against the channels, it would generate great, extremely great bliss. So, if you're not pleased, then there's no benefit. There will not be any great bliss. And even if you practice, there's no benefit. But if you're not pleased, then you can't concentrate. Then it would be like the nature of a horse or the nature of water, which is like the galloping horse. And monkey, you can focus, you can concentrate. So that means that your mind is not on the practice. So then it's not advantageous to practice. If that's the case, then don't practice. That's what he meant. So if you don't have the inner fire ignited, and you don't feel blissful when you practice, then don't practice. When you practice and you feel displeased about it, that means there are obstructions inside your body. So, but it's possible that your channels would become chaotic or in disorder. And the only way is to shake it. Like I said, like this. You lift and drop yourself. Lift, drop. Lift, drop. I will bury the chair this way. The chair is not sturdy. So if you shake your body, then your channels would become normal again. If the channels are knotted and crooked, then you will not feel any bliss in your Tammo, inner fire practice, or non-leaking practice. In order for your channels to become normal, then you have to shake your body like that. Then channels will be adjusted and would become smooth. But if you have spine problems or chiropractic problems, please don't do that. Otherwise you may break your spine. Or sciatics. Your sciatic nerve. So this is to adjust your channels again, to straighten up your channels. Otherwise, you feel uncomfortable or you feel discomfort doing it. Because if you feel pleasure, then you would definitely do it. So, if you feel bliss, but you don't practice, then that's wrong. But if you don't feel any bliss, it's not good to practice either. So that's what he meant. So if you feel discomfort or you don't feel any bliss when practicing, that means your channels must be crooked or knotted. Then you have to follow Grandmaster's instructions earlier. This is a key. secret here, the formula. Xiao Wang and Xiao Zhen, the couple, had a big fight today. And Xiao Zhen was crying and said that I should have listened to my mom and not marry you. And all of a sudden, Xiao Wang stopped and said, your mom ever prohibited you to marry me? And Xiao Zhen said yes, nodded her head. And Xiao Wang said, oh geez, I must have misunderstood her all these years. So do you understand? So, continuing from yesterday, it's very difficult to understand things between husband and wives. I have told this joke earlier. Someone was trying to jump off the building, and the policeman came and kept saying, oh, please don't jump off the building. Why? We can help you resolve your problems. And then he said, 2 years ago, my good friend took my wife away. And the policeman said, but you should have, if you want to jump off the building, you should have jumped 2 years ago, right? And that man turned his head and said, no, but the thing is now my friend wanted to send my wife back. See? How scary wives are. It's true, some of them are really scary. They're really awful. Ah Chang told his friend, I want to get divorced. My wife hasn't spoken to me for 2 months. And the friend said, oh, please think carefully. And he said, it's very hard to find such a wife. She just stopped talking. This is pretty hard to find nowadays. Most of them would nag constantly. There are 2 things difficult to resolve in the world. Is to make your opinion enter into other people's brains, or to make other people's money into our own pockets. And if one succeeds in the first one, it's called teacher, and then the one succeeds and the second one is called the boss, and the one who succeeds in both is called the wife. A couple went to the lawyer's office to get divorced, and the wife said, I want to get divorced because ever since our marriage, he never listens to me talk. And the husband replied, nonsense, see, you told me to come to the lawyer's office and I came. See, these are the problems between husbands and wives. It's best to become a monk these days. The wife asked the husband, why are you this is our wedding's anniversary, but we just got married for 5 years. But the husband replied, this 5 years is like 50 years for me. See, there's still problems between husband and wife. I have a very, very small regret in my life. If I were Master Lien In today, I would be more blissful than the bliss of practicing inner fire. There's a shy boy that finally conjured up his courage to ask the girl that he likes, and he asked, what kind of boy do you like? And the girl replied, the one that can be this is a play of words of Chinese. It sounded like a round head, but actually she meant like the one that I can connect to. How about the flattened head? A student asked the teacher, how do you write the character Pooh? And the teacher forgot for the moment. And the teacher said, it's right in my brain, but how come it cannot come out? A prisoner was to be executed, and because the bullets were second rate, the bullets cannot get out, and the prisoner cried out, you might as well choke on my throat because you shocked me to death. The farmer found his daughter to be so ugly. So first asked her to become the crow, the scarecrow in the cornfield. Not only she scared the crows, they were so scared that they brought the corn back. That's so funny jokes. That's very funny. The dad asked the daughter, why is mom crying so sadly? And the daughter said, because she won first prize as the scariest costume party. And she should be happy, right? But the thing is, she didn't put on any costumes. She just accompanied me. So the mom must be really scary. Must be truly. I find just laugh at life. Just be happy, and then life goes by. There's nothing much to lives. We just live our lives and cultivate diligently, spiritually.